All right. I think I got this all turned on and all set up right. We got a couple of minutes. I just wanted to get on here live if anybody's even there yet. Um, we, there's this StreamYard software, they added the webinar section to it. And anyway, I got it a little goofed up, sent out an invitation for 11 o'clock p.m. So our East Coast guys were calling me saying, "What are you doing? This is gonna be at 2 a.m." So I had to fix it. And then in order to fix it, you've got to delete everybody. Anyway, as I said, I'm just gonna give it a couple of minutes here. And in the bottom right portion, I'm not sure what your screen looks like, but you should be able to post a comment or add something so I know you're out there. So if you get a chance, my first thing that I'd like to just be able to find out is if you can see me okay, if you can hear me okay, if in fact we've got anybody viewing yet. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go back into my comments. Hi, Denny. Hi, Michael. Good. Um, One of the weird things here, I'll tell you, hey, Steve, how are you? So, one of the things that's a little bit weird here, hi, Alejandro, is, and so I'll warn you, I've been trying to get all this computer stuff dialed in. I got a new computer. Hi, Alan. Is I've got a computer, really nice new MacBook Pro, first new computer I've had in many years, and it's right down here, right in front of me, and that's where the camera is. But I've also got this big monitor behind me so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. And it allows me um, to have everything bigger. So when you see me kind of looking up like this and talking like this, I'm sorry. I know it's a little weird because I really want to talk down here. I had all the screen stuff down here a little while ago, but it's so small I can't see anything. So anyway, I'm gonna do it that way. But okay, we just hit 11. Hi, Philip. So if you would, any of you, just real quick in those comments, let me know what you think we're going to do. And then I'll get dialed in on our presentation and what I'm trying to accomplish. But let me just get a sort of a hands up, everybody. What do you think that we should do here for the next hour? And I'll go quick because it's a lot of stuff to cover. Nobody wants to get in the middle of that, huh? All right, then I'll start. So, one of the things that we have been very big in since really a long time ago. Okay, Michael, we'll talk commercial, man. Is when sort of in the I don't know what word we call it digital marketing, online marketing. But really, when Google sort of took over the world and we went in that direction for trying to help local business be able to generate new leads, customers, and business from online sources, we went in a direction that is commonly referred to as inbound marketing or content marketing. And we had and have been a partner with HubSpot for many years, back when they were still a nice young company before IPO and all that. And HubSpot is an automated software platform. Oh no, I thought I'd turn that off. Is this going to be happening the whole time? Part of this new computer is I get my phone is connected to the computer. So now every time we get a message, it dings. And I thought, anyway, okay. So, marketing automation is really the process of taking those inbound leads, all that information, that's out there that works its way to you, whether that's via messages, texts, phone calls, form fills, whatever it is, and coming your way. And what has become harder and harder and harder with that through the years here is that how do we distinguish what's what? How do we organize it all? How do we follow up? And ultimately, how do we take advantage of every single opportunity we possibly can? Now, what today is about is I want to introduce high level software and how we're using it. And we've just started this. And so, how we're going to be using this um, in our agency, working with our pest control partners around the country. I don't I don't take sort of pimping for software lightly, but let me tell you what's happened is we have a number of our larger clients using HubSpot. But HubSpot's expensive. I'm talking usually 2 to 3,000 a month to have a good setup. And for many of our clients, that just isn't that's just too much. So anyway, Go High Level comes out and it's actually called High Level, but their URL is Go High Level. So everybody just calls them Go High Level. So I'll go ahead and do that as well. But so Go High Level is I don't want to say a poor man's version of HubSpot because it's not fair, but it is. It will do almost everything HubSpot will do and then some. It's just a little harder to set up and it's not quite as pretty, the interface, but it still will do everything. So, with that in mind, what I want to do here, I'm going to get up here. I'm going to just start here. One of the things that is hard for me is taking a complex process and then trying to make it simple. And so let's take a look at this. Okay. I hope you can see this okay. Probably depending on what you're looking at, but this is a blog article just as an example that I've recently put together. And I'm going to walk through this real quick, just the highlights. I'm not going to read this whole thing. But optimizing your CRM pipeline for pest control success is really what we want to talk about. And I'll talk a little more in depth in a minute about what a pipeline really is and how it works. And then lead tracking and organization to me is the single most important thing you can do, especially you companies that are newer, say 5 years or less. I cannot tell you how many companies I've got involved with, and they've been in business 20, 30 years, and they don't have a contact database. They don't have any leads. They don't have all those people they've been talking with and dealing with for 20 plus years anywhere that we can take advantage of and solicit and try to grow the business. So that's a biggie. And then automated lead nurturing is just that. We want to take you out of having to remember what to do, remember who to call back. We really want that all in today's day to be automated. Re-engagement campaigns for dormant leads or win-back campaigns are just that. So one of the things I'll show you in a minute is when you have a pipeline, we want it to end if it's not with a sale or a lost opportunity that we're never going to call again. We want it to end up in a back burner or a nurturing account that over time becomes a funnel all in and of itself that's going to drip leads to you. And then an AI chatbot is a very, very good thing. Again, a chatbot, we'll talk about in a minute. Boosting your reputation with reviews, extremely important. So, those are some of the things, so to speak, that I really want to start this presentation out by getting your mind in there. And if you look at this first page here, and you look at the red that I wrote, know the difference between growing your traffic and converting your leads. And what we're not talking about today is lead production per se, which for the most part is if any of you've listened to my podcast or know of us at all, is you're going to understand that there's really two roads that lead to lead production. It's going to be organic, which some of you refer to as SEO, it's content, it's that kind of thing, as well as paid advertising, that generally revolves around Google pay per click and Google LSA. But those generate leads, and that's not necessarily what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is as those leads, as those opportunities, as our own customers are contacting us day in and day out, how then can we streamline those operations, automate that marketing, get more and better sales conversion rates, and then track all of that customer acquisition and engagement? Because another thing, if you've talked to me, heard from me at all in the past, what you know is I am extremely big on moving beyond all the marketing jargon and hyperbole, and fancy spreadsheets and slide decks, and really getting down to a couple things that you need to know to grow your pest control business or a wildlife business for that matter. And that is, at the end of the day, over a little bit of time, you need to be able to determine at what I'm spending to generate leads, all of it, and then what those leads cost me at the end of the day. And then of those leads, how many do I need to get a sale? So am I closing one out of two? I hope you are. If you are, you're probably happy. And that becomes your sales acquisition number. So that says it costs me, generally speaking, $200 to generate one new residential recurring client. Or in the case of commercial, maybe it costs me 400 to generate one commercial account. Again, and that commercial account's ideally going to be worth more. But that's really what this is all about. And what we'll talk about as I go through these, I've got, I think, 10 pages, and I only use a slide deck to sort of trigger me to stay in order, or I will be all over the place. But when we talk about, let me see if I got this down here, an introduction to go high level, what is it? Why pest control companies can benefit from it. The key advantages are automation of CRM, lead tracking, customer communication, and then you being able to integrate text messaging, which I think is extremely important. We're getting now results that are about 5 times what email is, and that's just because to a certain degree, text messaging is the new email of our time. And even text messaging is getting to the point I'm getting irritated. I get text all day long. But the A2PD portion of it, I think it's PD, not DP. I don't know. I may have messed that up. But that's making sure um, that we're adhering to laws and regulations. We're not spamming with our text messaging, but we're able to use it to communicate and get engagement. And that's, when you start talking about an automated um, chat bot on the website or anywhere else, even on some of your ads, if you will, that is AI and is learning, it is kind of a remarkable thing. And again, if you know me, I'm old school. I don't jump on board with all the latest, coolest. I don't think AI needs to be managing my checking account, for example. But there are some things, and chatbots are one of those things that AI is really good at. Now, when you look at Go High Level or a marketing automation platform in general, and today we use Looker Studio. If you're any of our clients, you'll know this, to do this. But what is this? So we want to have navigation and key features. So if you look there in the box, you'll see that you can navigate through the software and you can get access to things, different tools for things like emailing and texting, your automation workflows. You can even create sales funnels inside of there. There is a section for reviews. There's a section for an API integration. And I'm going to stop there for a second. And I don't want to get too in the weeds with API integration, but let me just tell you what that means really to you. And if we were working together, I would take the time in working with you, and our team would, to make sure this would be custom created for you. So whether you're using Pest Pack, Field Routes, Gorilla Desk, Brio Stack, Field Works, or any of the others, which it's kind of looking like the next couple of years will all be Service Titan, maybe. But in any event, um, what we're really looking to do with all an API integration is this. I have my marketing database and my new leads and all my stuff over here on the left coming into, in this case, high level. I have field routes over here on the right in which I'm introducing on a day-to-day basis all of my new customers, and I'm getting them set up with their billing. I'm getting the credit card information. I'm getting everything done there. Okay. And the question becomes, okay, I don't want to do a bunch of redundant stuff. I don't want to do this. Do I actually track leads and field routes? I know some of you will say, yeah, you do, but I've yet to really find anybody that's using field routes or pestback or any of the others truly like a CRM marketing machine. So what we get down to is I'm Casey, I'm over here, I'm working on my CRM. And Joe Smith contacts me today, and Joe Smith now becomes a new customer. And based on what we do inside our pest control company, I have to make a decision. Am I going to go ahead and get Joe Smith confirmed here and get it done? And I can move him in my pipeline to a one WON. So I won a new customer. And then I move over here to the right. I now go in and do all my my input of data and information into field routes and then get them assigned to a tech and assigned to a route and all of that. Okay. So we have these two things. And the question becomes, do we want them feeding back and forth both ways? Or do we want to work over here on our marketing on one side? And then when we really get that done, and we've got that done, we go over here to field routes or whatever, and we input our data, we get them assigned, we get the credit card, we get the bill, everything gets done. And then some of that data flows back into our CRM in high level at this point, because now what we really want to do is update them in terms of now they're a customer. Now we have some tags as to the services we're going to perform. So we can then isolate them into individual lists that we can manage differently in terms of our marketing efforts. Now, that was a lot. And that is really critical. And it is oftentimes where we find people have a difficult time trying to really decide what they want to do. And I'm going to tell you what my opinion is. My opinion is that first, we manage our leads, we get good at lead conversions, we get good at all of our automation, we get good at our follow through till we're really at a point we're happy with that. And we're feeding our data this way, or excuse me, we're inputting our data over here and it is feeding back and then updating our CRM. What do you guys think? Take a second here. I'm just going to sit back and let you absorb that for a minute. Does that make sense? And do you understand that? Or is that too much technical gobbledygook? Because it is really at the heart and center when you put in a new CRM into your business and you are also operating the business with, say, again, I'll just use field routes as an example, that you understand how to integrate the two and you've really got those working together. Anybody have anything to say, or did y'all leave already? Did I already bore everybody to death and you jump ship or not? I'm waiting. Anybody? I want to get something here because I got absolutely nothing. All right. I'm not sure what that means. If that's good or bad, if I'm still alive or something, I screwed something up. I hope not. Anyway, I'm going to move on then. And I'm going to walk through most of the rest of this rather quickly, excuse me, to get around to the point that we can actually have a chat. And okay, so this stuff's coming in now. So RGSL talks to Pest Routes doesn't talk to GHL. So that's kind of weird because Ty, that's going to be almost backwards. And the reason I say that, what I mean by that is unless you're really on top of Go High Level with your data input, and then it's feeding the right information up to pest routes. If it doesn't come back, then you may end up with that data being a little bit inconsistent. And the most important part of that integration is going to be that the pest routes data, or field routes, I guess you must be old school as well. I remember them when they were pest routes, but we want that pest routes data when it's input and adjusted and cleaned up really to be the master that's feeding go high levels so that we are in tune with our basic customer database, if that makes sense. But when we go in, so let's just say at the end of this, you said, hey, sign us up. We want to get on board. We're all in, all of that stuff. Oh, I got you. Okay. Um, what are we going to do? So again, I'm not going to get into all these details because this will kill you. And this is what we will sometimes refer to the 30 or 60 days of hell. We always worry when we first start with a new customer and we bring them on board. And if they've not done this kind of stuff before, um, it can be overwhelming and they can want to quit after a week. And so, what we really want to make sure of here is that, and a distinction between Rhino and some of the other people in the workplace. We believe in what we do, and this is the same thing we did with HubSpot and are still doing with HubSpot very successfully. When we sell you a marketing automation platform, in this case, high level is what we're talking about, we can have it all put together and then we can give it to you and then we can say, "C'est la vie," and you're on your own, and that doesn't work. And that's what some others do out in the marketplace. What we want to be able to do, however, is selfishly get you to pay for it, put it in play, work with you, but we can then use it as a tool ourselves to make the marketing team and the marketing agency be more effective on your behalf. So when we go through that, I don't want you to have to build it yourself either. And go high level, just so you know, Taylor, it is as complicated as it gets with setup. So I'll take you through, for example, just the branding and domain setup. We have to set up a separate domain. We have to get it connected, and there's several reasons for that with your Gmail, or excuse me, with your email. And then we've got to get it set up so that we get that text messaging verification done. We need your business information. We got to connect. You see here the phone, SMS. We've got to get the email connected. Then we want to be able to import, organize all the leads, keep those leads flowing. That's the API integration. And then we can get into the fun stuff, which is setting up the automations and workflows. And this is generally where the client, you, are going to have a little fun because um, when we talk about setting up automations and workflows, it's like, well, if they do this, we want to do that. And then if they do this, we're going to do that. And at the end here, we're going to set up users and permissions. And at this point, here, let me go back one. Let me just sit here for a minute. So, one of the things that got me fired up at the beginning of the year to really decide we need to introduce this year and get this rolling and stop waiting for some of our clients is simply this. So I'm going to use just a quick example. My garbage disposal broke, and I'm sorry if you listen to my podcast, you've heard this story. Anyways, I go online, nobody returning my calls, nobody's nice, nobody's answering my questions, and I finally get to a company called Loyalty Plumbing. And Loyalty Plumbing here in Las Vegas, their thing is their brand is they've got a golden retriever, a dog, and that's the whole idea of loyalty. But anyway, I get on the phone and there's a wonderful woman answering the phone. She's friendly, she's nice, she takes into consideration my little, garbage disposal job. She gets me to understand, okay, here's what it's going to take. Here's some of the options. You can get a half power or three-quarter power or this or that. Anyway, and she sets me up. Says, okay, we'll have somebody out there tomorrow at 10 a.m. Great. Now, I then get a follow up. Hey, here is to confirm your appointment. It's 10 a.m. tomorrow. We're looking forward. I then get another follow up a little bit later that says, we just want to make sure you know and you're aware that Tim here is going to be your technician when he comes out. And here's a picture of Tim, and here's a little bit of information. Tim's a local guy, went to high school here. He's got 3 kids. Great. Then the next day, again, another follow up. Hey, Tim's going to be out there in an hour. Just want to make sure is everything okay? Do you have a gate code? Then Tim comes out. Then when Tim leaves, there's a summary recap of what he did that comes back with an outline. Then a little while later, a review. Hey, if you like Tim, you like what we did, please let us know. That is a classic example of a very successful marketing automation workflow. And that is the kind of thing that will make your business stand out. And that's a customer interaction. And I don't want to, let me see, let me go back here. So, Michael, I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to talk to you about sales and outreach. Those automation steps can all be custom designed for a sales outreach as well, like commercial sales. So, for example, well, it's 11:24. I'm going to try to roll. So, for example, we have a client right now in Michigan. He really wants to get rolling in some local commercial aspects. We have actually gone out and tried to see and determine whether or not we can get through purchasing some good customer lists that we can use in this way to reach out for our commercial sales um, outbound efforts. What I found is no, you can't. You're just going to get a bunch of junk. It's going to cost a bunch of money. So, unfortunately, in this particular case, what's going to need to happen is our client and his team, they're really going to literally need to do it the old fashioned way, which is to go out there, hand out some trifold brochures, offer a free audit or inspection, and get their foot in the door in front of the person that needs to make that decision. However, once they do that and they start collecting cards and they start gathering information, that information can easily be put into a CRM, and a sales funnel can be created that's going to reach out to those commercial accounts, going to provide them with information, maybe even a PDF document, but it's designed to nurture them through the steps and get our database, in this case for commercial sales, say for restaurants and bars or something like that, to just continue to grow and grow and grow. And we drip lead nurture them so that over time, we just continue to see new business coming in from that campaign, and we don't have anything wasted, and that's all automated. And the only time you have to really get in front of it after the fact is when they call and contact you and say, okay, I want to get somebody out here. I hope that made some sense. Now, Steve's asking, would you recommend using a third party plug like Zapier to integrate GHL? Maybe. So, for example, a we have our main website for Rhino Digital Media Incorporated, and all of our CRM and most of our stuff is all built out on HubSpot because we did that some 15 years ago. Now, we also set up with our Rhino Pest Control marketing URL a whole go high level platform so that we can use it to show people and so that we ourselves here could become very familiar with using it. Now, what I've done with Zapier is I connected our go high level account for Rhino Pest Control marketing. So anything and everything that comes through there will then go over to our HubSpot database, be updated, a new contact is used, and then we can do that back and forth. So again, Steve, I think you're using field routes, either that or Gorilla Desk. And then you've also got high level over here, and they have native API. So what that means is they can talk to each other. I don't think we need Zapier as a go-between. That's just one more step and one more thing that needs to be built. But certainly Zapier is a great opportunity and something we can use. But if you look at So if you look at what's up here on the screen, titled Lead Management and CRM, what you're looking at here, and this is just a screenshot, but it's a typical pipeline. And you can see in this pipeline, and these stages can be created custom for you, whatever you want. We've got some that we can show you. We have several examples because we've onboarded, I think, about 8 or 10 clients on to go high level now. Some are still in production, getting built out. But we can show this in a pipeline, for example. Let me just show you this and explain this for a minute to give you an idea. So, new leads. What we can do is create um, a workflow so that every source lead you get, phone calls, form fills, messages, organic leads, paid leads, directory listings, Angie's List, everything out there that then come into you as a lead are then placed into that section of your pipeline. Okay. So we come in with a new lead, and then we will take, and we can do, again, working together with you, we will apply a predetermined value. So let's just say we know that almost any lead that we get is an opportunity. If we're going to sell them, it's going to be worth a minimum of 300 bucks. So we can apply that value, $300 to each and every lead. And the reason we do that is we want to force you to have to pay attention and manage this, because we know, and you will know when you look at your pipeline, if everything's in the new leads category, then in fact, you're not doing anything. Okay. So, how do we avoid that? So, now we can submit and set up some automation workflows. So, in new leads, we can, as soon as a new lead's introduced into that, we can send a text message and an email to the lead saying, hey, thanks so much. We're going to be in touch in the next 10 or 15 minutes, which is literal, and we need to be able to do that. However, then it's going to assign that lead via the same text messaging or emailing internally to our team. And we can round robin assign that. We can send it all to the same person, or we can break it down if we're using chat AI into a lead for sales, a something, a customer service related, a billing problem. They want termites. So everything goes in there. Everybody's notified. Then we can say, hey, if 15 minutes go by and nobody did anything, internally we can re-notify our team, our manager, whoever wants to say, hey, so this account or this lead, this opportunity is sitting here and nobody's done anything with it. Does that make sense? I know, Angie, right? So yeah, that's Home Advisor and Angie now, the same thing, Ian. But does that make sense to you? So we're going to bring leads in. We're going to say, hey, we got your lead. We're then going to notify everybody internally, hey, there's a lead here. We need to do something with it. Then, if it sits there for more than a predetermined amount of time, whatever you want, but it's not going to be hours, days, or weeks, it's going to be moments. We're then going to remind everybody we got to get off our tuition. We got to do something with this lead. And then you can see up here, they've got some others, hot leads, booking requested, booking confirmed. But at the end of the day, all roads lead to two of the sections in our pipeline. One, WON, booked, sold, lost, LOST. We were not able to convert them. We don't know what happened, or we do know what happened, and we're going to have a reason in there. And this is, if you look at what Voice for Pest is trying to do, and I'm getting varying opinions on it, but most of them are very positive. Voice for Pest is actually using the AI to scan the phone calls, listen to them, and tell you what's going on well or not. But at the end of the day, when you start to look at these columns and you get to the end, you don't see it here of won and lost has an explanation. That's going to become your lead conversion, or excuse me, your sales conversion value. And that's why we want to have an equal number of them in won as we do in lost. If they're all going in lost, we know we've got other things to deal with. In addition to that, we have a back burner or a nurturing section. And what we're doing there is we're saying, okay, we lost it. We didn't sell them, but we think this is a good candidate, and we can tag them by creating our own custom tags, move it, excuse me, into the back burner or nurturing section, and then follow up. We can automate things that we do. Maybe they contacted us. We did a one shot, and we want to be able to follow up with them in the future. So I'll give you an example. Just to give you an example how automation works and how using your brains and your thinking can really result in money. So I know that one shots are a controversial topic in pest control. Some just don't do them at all. They hate them. Others will do them begrudgingly. But think of it this way. What if we took a one shot? So we go out, we do an ant treatment. That's the end of it. What do we know as pest control professionals? That's going to last. It's going to work about 60 days, maybe 90 days. And then, generally speaking, the problem's probably going to come back, especially if it's roaches or other things. So, what if anytime we did a one shot, one time treatment at 60 to 70 days, we just sent them a follow up reminder like we would if we were at dental office. And we just said, hey, it's time for another treatment. We were out there 60 days ago. Now is about the time that the chemicals and the treatment and the products we used are going to wear off. And if we don't do something, you may very likely see a recurrence of that same problem you had before. And the irony there is if they do it that way, they end up paying more than if they just signed up for our annual. And we can also do follow ups and say, hey, we did a one shot. We'd really like to get you on our annual program for the following wonderful, valuable reasons. And if in fact you do that, we'll give you 25 bucks off or not. Does that make sense? Again, trying to move along on this automation thinking that we can do lots of stuff. There's lots of ways here for all of this to be happening 24/7 while you're sleeping if it's all handled initially in the input. And that's where we get back to API integration and tagging these things. If that's done correctly, those tags can be triggers to do all sorts of stuff. Okay. So creating pipelines for pest control services, inquiries, quotes. You can even book services. I don't think I would do it yet. I think, in my opinion, in your company, and I've not seen anybody do it really, really well yet anywhere in the country. Booking um, online and going to the extent that they set their own appointment for their own treatment is a little sketchy. And I know that's where many of you want to go, and we want to help take you there. And we're going to work on it this year as much as we can. I just think that at the point of sale, it's really nice to have somebody be able to talk to them, welcome them aboard, do the follow up, that kind of thing. And then again, just looking, this is what a workflow kind of looks like, setting up SMS and email campaigns, using workflows to nurture leads, follow up with customers, best practices for automated appointment reminders. And this is where, who was it? It was talking about, so Taylor, I think you were talking a little bit about the APIs. Ty, you also were. This is where things get a little bit tricky, and where when you're mapping two databases together, you got to make really sure that the right data is going to the right place. And when it is, it can be nirvana. I mean, we can really set up some cool things. But remember what I said a little while ago, that first 60 days, 30 to 60 days of hell when you go through this is when you're going to question whether it was the right thing to do or not. You're going to want to bail, stick with it, grind it out, and you will be very, very happy when you're all done and you truly have an automated platform tied to your lead generation machine that's doing nothing but converting opportunities into new customers that are impressed with what you're doing. Because what does a new impressed customer do? What do I do with loyalty plumbing? Is most any of my neighbors, friends, or family that would ever ask me about it that could take advantage of a local plumber here, you can bet I'm going to talk about them. And that's what we want, because at some point in time, and we used to call it word of mouth, it's kind of, I guess, word of online mouth now, but you can't do any better in any of your marketing efforts, in anything you do, than a good referred customer. Why? Because you don't have to pay anything for it. It reduces your overall cost per lead, your overall cost per sales acquisition, and they already love you when they get started. I absolutely know when we get a referred customer as opposed to somebody who's just checking us out, the difference is absolutely significant and easy to see when I talk to them. And then the booking and scheduling appointments, I'm just going to jump by this at this point. And the reason for that is, in all frankness, I'm not sure yet that we're ready for this. Um, I've not seen it done really well anywhere. If I'm wrong, please fact check me and let me know. I have yet to see anyone that I've worked with and talked with, and I've talked with a lot, is um, to see somebody that yet has a pest control platform that's so automated that they can just call in, purchase it, schedule the appointment, schedule everything, get billed, get do everything, and that the only thing that happens is it shows up on field routes on a text new assignment, hopefully with some kind of notification that this is a new account. I'm not yet comfortable enough to move and roll with that, if you know what I mean. Let's see. All right. What service can you provide to get the leads in the first place? Closing then is no problem. So, in what um, we're really talking about today is marketing automation and setting up an automated platform that's going to assist you in closing them or closing more. Um, but lead generation, as I said earlier, is really about two pathways: organic, which is your website, your content, the SEO that you're using. If you're doing videos and blog articles, it's all that stuff. It's then the paid platforms, which can be Angie, which can be Yelp, which can be Google, Bing, local service ads. There's a whole host of them, and one of the things that's important about what we're talking about here with those sources is that we bring them into that pipeline and we connect with it, that dashboard, so that you then have a place where you can really take a hard look at determining what the value is of whatever it is you're doing in relationship to the amount of money you're selling and the ROI that is there then connected. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm going to just take a break here and catch my breath. We're probably 15 minutes from being done. So hang with me. And I do want to give you guys our sales goal worksheet, walk through that really quick with you to just see what you think. But I'm going to just sit back here for a moment and say, do you get what I'm talking about with regard to this automation? And I hope you understand it is a lot to cover. And so I'm going over it rather briefly and rather high level. But the reason for that is that what I want to make sure is that right here, I don't know how many people are on with us. There's a lot. Each one of you, if you said, yeah, I want to buy it, I want to do it, the difference between us and most everybody else out there is we're then going to go through this with you and your company for you. So this is then set up to do what you want. And this goes back to, again, to a lot of the podcast episodes I do that, even the intro on our podcast, it's not about software and millennials. And the reason for that is it irritates the heck out of me when there's software out there that has great potential, but then you buy it out of the box and they want you to do everything in your business the way the software tells you, as opposed to you using the software the way you want to in your business. And that's what we're going to do. We want to make sure that, in fact, what you're getting is going to work for you and you're not going to spend a bunch of money and then just bail on it. We see a lot of that with a lot of these organizations that require you to put your website on their server, and they have all their analytics and all their metrics are all hidden on their platform, and then you get this pretty spreadsheet or PowerPoint deck that gives you a bunch of information that doesn't really help you about eyeballs and impressions and things like that. And at the end of the day, you can't figure out, okay, how much money did I get from whatever this is? That is what using a program like this will help you do, is cut through that noise and get down to it. Let me give you another quick story. Okay. One of our clients has a father who has a cremation company, and he's got a quote unquote Google Ads specialist that is using all the Google Ads AI automation to do everything. And then she's given him these reports that show all of these Google conversions. And I'm here to tell you straight up, Google conversions don't mean much of anything. And we manage a lot of Google Ads campaigns. And when you get tracked numbers in place, and when you get tracked forms in place, and you have tracked messaging in place. So in other words, here is when they called, and who called, and how much money we got. It never matches up to Google conversions, and that troubles me. So we went in and we had this person telling him, oh, you got 200 conversions. And again, I don't go negative. I don't come in and try to downplay anybody else's efforts. I know how hard it is to get accounts, to keep them happy, and to explain to them what we're doing. However, we set up call rail call tracking on the website. We set it up for the ads. We set it for Google My Business, and we set up form tracking. So any forms that got filled out, we knew who, where, when, why, etc. Well, it didn't become but a moment to see that the issue was that the information data he was getting was wrong for whatever reason. I don't know who did what was intentional, what was not, or if nobody just knew what the hell was going on. Excuse me. But at the end of the day, what we were able to do for this guy is give him a real number. Hey, and all that money you're spending is turning into this. I know, right? 200 conversions. But remember, those are conversions, Google conversions. Those 200 conversions, we've been running this now for 3 weeks, would be equivalent to about 8 leads. Okay, so that's a big deal. And 8 leads are not 8 sales, Ian. 8 leads are probably, in his case, 6 or 5 sales. So whereas he thought he was getting a couple hundred leads and opportunities, he was getting 8 or 9. And so that is what we do, just so all of part of doing all this, it's all to provide transparent, real information to help you know what's going on with your own marketing and your own lead production. And the reason for that is that we don't want to be the villains or the guys on the other side of the check. We want you to understand this stuff's hard. It's not easy. If we're going to do this, we have to do it together, and it's going to take some time and effort. And Google doesn't care anything about what we're trying to do. Google cares about one thing. How can we, through our AI mechanisms, get you to pay for more clicks, tell you you have more conversions, and in reality, you can't figure out why you're getting all these good metrics, but you don't see any money. Where's the money? The greenbacks, the dead presidents. Anyway, okay. So um, automating confirmations and reminders is a very, very important thing. And I think sometimes after the sale is some of the most important part for you. Okay. Sticking on that cremation site, we did and helped them get some reviews, and they've done a very good job on their own. And what was interesting for us was to see how well the Google business profile or maps listings were doing in relationship to the actual Google ads. It was outperforming it 2 to 1 and still is. And what primarily is going to drive Google Maps performance is reviews. So inside high level, there's some real good review um, um, application. So we can help you through campaigns and even through using the Go High Level app, and your technicians make sure that within your organization that review, um, getting reviews is a grassroots effort that never stops. Okay, it is something that if you do religiously and you don't fall off, and that's why we manage and monitor this with our clients, because you can see it. We'll have a meeting, everybody gets fired up, they go out and they get 20 reviews, and then it drops right back down to nothing again. It's got to be week in, week out, year in, year out to get you to that point where you've got two, three, 400 reviews. Most of them are 5-star, and now you're ranking in your local Google business profile at the top of the list. So, how to request and manage reviews, automating the review requests, and then responding to reviews to boost credibility. Because again, another workflow you don't see in here, and I've used this statement many times, is what we're looking for out of all of this great work, leads, conversions, sales, new customers. At the end of the day, what do we really want? Referrals. Referrals. And it's why for another meeting we'll talk about, but referrals can be the single best thing that ever happens to your campaign or your company. You can create campaigns with it. You need to make it worth their while because you're probably spending a couple of $100 to acquire customers now anyway. So why would you give a strong referral $20? Come on, give them something that's worth their while. They can at least buy a Starbucks coffee to refer their friends and neighbors to you. It is the cheapest, best source of new customers and revenue you will ever receive. So now, next, reporting and analytics. I think I beat that thing to death, so I just let you look at this for a minute. But to me, if you don't track this yourself and understand what do we need to get under, and then don't get all frustrated when the results aren't what you think they should be. Most of our clients have unreal expectations, and part of our initial job with them is to show them what is actually happening and what it's going to take to get to where we want to be. And it's not make false promises and et cetera. Because look, any marketing agency that knows what they're doing, is honorable and ethical, can only do so many things to generate either organic leads and or paid leads. That's it. I mean, there's a finite number of things you can do to make that happen. And when things are not happening with your clients, our customers, then we have to get together with them by analyzing the information. What's happening? What is it? Is it the fact that we simply don't have enough traffic? Because remember, the traffic is what converts into the leads. So if you don't have any traffic and you're converting your traffic at around 5-6%, which is about right, into leads, if you don't have any traffic, there's nothing to convert. So you start there. Anyways, I digress. However, all of that revolves around the information you can get that's good and real information, not fake Google conversion numbers, but real numbers to help you. So that is actually built in there. We can also use a Looker Studio dashboard, but they're kind of the same thing in that essentially you're creating a report to draw in all the data to then give you a report you can review that makes sense to you and gives you the information you're really trying to ascertain. So, recap. Recap is simple. We are rolling out with high level software. We think it's been out long enough to be trustworthy enough to use it effectively for our clients. And if any of you have any interest in any of that, let me know. Okay. And I think I got this thing. Now I'll create a banner here. Okay. With my email and my phone number. And what you can take this And in the future, if you ever want to talk to me more about this, then we should do that. Okay, let's see, show. All right, that's pretty cool. Okay, so there's my email and there's my phone number. And what we want to be able to do, again, some of this is selfish, folks. We want you to buy the product as an add-on, which we're doing almost a giveaway now. We're giving you the software at cost, waiving most of our onboarding fees, which generally are around 2 grand, and then we are going to be able to use that to help you and teach you and work with you to take the next step along the path of becoming really good at what you're doing in your community, marketing your business, and looking towards domination and being the best out there. So that's really what we're looking to do. And Denny, one of the things I was going to get into, and I decided not to because I didn't want to digress, but I know you guys purchased that software. It's the proposal software, and it just slipped my mind if you could remind me. But how we can we can use that and attach it to the automation. And I'm going to talk to Tim later about being able to do that. So, for example, in my business, we use a Smarter Launch. There you go. Thanks, Denny. In my business, we use a product called Proposify. Proposify connects to HubSpot. So when I have a customer, Johnny Smith, and I create a proposal for Johnny Smith that's whatever one of our basic tier plans, and I send it to Johnny, it then creates a new lead in our HubSpot CRM pipeline. It then triggers and starts the whole automation. It will show me when they've looked at the proposal and what pages and how long. It will remind me that it's been 72 hours or 48 hours, whatever I want. And so there's all these very, very cool things to help you be able to start to put volumes of proposals in commercial into the workplace and then be able to manage those through automation as opposed to trying to remember and then losing track of and not knowing what happened and how well did I do. Um, and then I have here how to get started with onboarding pest control clients. Well, that really would start with you reaching out, and letting us know, hey, I am interested. I'd like to know a little bit more. And then we can get together and talk specifically. I can even bring up for you some examples of some clients that we have in place now and let you see what we're doing with them and even see some of what's being built out. And I'm going to open the floor. We're a little bit late, so I'm going to end here. I'm going to say this to you, and I'll follow up in a week or so. At the start of this um, comment thing, if you go all the way to the top, there is a Google Doc that you can select and copy and download your own doc on um, getting prepared for. Essentially what it really is to do is to provide for you a place to decide what you want to do for goals for 2025. In this case, two goals, right? We want to sell X amount of dollars, and that's going to mean we need to sell this many customers. And then break that down and really look at that strategically. And what does that mean to us? How much money do we really need to invest? And what should we do? So, say, for example, I'm a new hire at your pest control, wildlife, or other home service company. So you hire me. I'm now the guy. I'm in charge of marketing. And you bring me in. And what you tell me is this. So you say, we want to sell $500,000 in 2025. That's really not a goal. At that point, it's a wish or a hope. And then the question becomes, well, what is my budget, boss? What do I get? Do I get any monies for Google Ads? Do I get any money to do any social media stuff? Do I get any money? Can I hire a salesman? All of these things are real and need to be determined and need to be priced out. And that's what that document I sent you was. And I think what I'll do is, if any of you are interested, just let me know now. I'll make sure that every one of you gets invited. And we do a little more in depth on that because, as usual, I got talking. I went a little bit longer than what I wanted to. We're just about an hour in. Is there any questions that I can provide an answer to you for before we leave? And could you let me know? And again, I don't need to be flattered. If this was helpful, if this made sense, or if this was just too much to try to do in an hour. So I don't know how many of you are left. I hope everybody's left or hope everybody says something before you leave because I'd really like to know. And I'm trying to get better at this stuff, especially in presenting complex information that is a little bit tough to digest and put into a way that you could see, okay, if we did this tomorrow, what would that mean? Exactly how would that work? So you have my information up there, and I'm going to just sit here for about a minute and then I'm going to check out. So if there's anything more that I didn't answer, I didn't say, please let me know. And on your way out the door, please say goodbye so I know and see how many people were able to stay for the whole hour and participate with what we're doing here. So, with that, again, I'm just going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to let this thing run for just a second and then I'm going to get out of here. Okay.